Hello everyone, I'm one international master Knarik and I'm using the chesswithknarik.com website to record this video. In this video, we're going to try to save this position. We're going to try not to lose with the white pieces. But why should we think about saving the position and not losing? Because if we look at this position, it's true that black has a queen, but right on this move even, we can just capture that queen with our rook and the black king is going to capture back. So the only difference that's going to be remaining in the position is that black is going to have an extra passed pawn that's on the b file. So with that passed pawn, black can promote and win the game. So we need to try to stop that pawn from promoting and draw this game. But how to do that? Let's see. It's very important to remember the key squares of a passed pawn. Remember that when we are talking about a pawn and a king versus a king, that is of course close to that pawn. Our king should be close to that pawn. Black can win this only if they can occupy one of the key squares of this passed pawn, and the key squares with the king, and the key squares are two squares in front of the passed pawn and the ones next to it. So if the black king is able to reach one of those squares, either a3, b3 or c3, that's when black is going to be able to win this endgame when the rook and the queen are exchanged. So it's very important then we don't simply just capture here, because if we just simply capture and try to go and stop the black pawn from promoting, black king will be able to move to one of the key squares and win this pawn endgame. Let's say if black plays king to d3, we play king to e1, that's it. Already the black king moved to one of the key squares and is able to win. Not only that, they can even move to c2 and win much faster even in this position, because c2 will be one of the key squares of the pawn when it's even pushed further, and then all the squares that's needed for black to promote will be protected by the black king, and this is definitely winning. So going back, then we need to try to find a way to not only trade the rook for the queen, in addition we need also our king to be able to stop the black king from moving to one of these key squares. Basically we need to make sure that we don't allow the black king to reach c3. That's the closest, because that's the closest. But how to do that? Okay, if I won't capture the queen, then black is threatening to capture our rook, right? And then we will be playing with a queen and a pawn less, which is definitely losing very fast. So what can we do instead? Since we don't really have to capture now the black queen, because the black queen is pinned to the king, what we can do is we can try to get our king closer now in this move. And by protecting our rook, for example here, we can play the king to f2. By playing the king to f2, I got closer to the black pawn, and at the same time here, if black captures my rook, then my king is going to capture back. I took the opposition, which is something very good. In addition, because I took the opposition here, let's say if the black king trying to get close to the white pawn, we are not allowing the black king to move to any of the key squares of that passed pawn, which means that this is an endgame that's going to be ending in a draw. Let's go back. What if the black king doesn't move to try to go to the pawn, but just the pawn move, but just the pawn pushes forward, the passed pawn. But we also know the square of a passed pawn. If we draw the diagonal in the direction of the promotion rank, and we create the square of the passed pawn, we can see that the white king is already in that square. It means that if this pawn is just pushing, the white king is just going to be able to capture it. So going back, but what if the black pieces, they don't capture our rook when we play the king to f2? What if they try to move their king to the other side, let's say, because now they even want to move their queen away? They unpinned their king, right? They unpinned their king, which means that on the next turn they can even move away with the queen and try to win this. or even try to, in the next move, let's say if we're waiting, they can even at that move, they can okay, of course they will move away the queen and play like that, but they can even capture our rook and play a pawn endgame that's winning for them, because their king now is closer to the key squares and will be able to win. So here we are forced to capture the queen because we can't delay it anymore once the queen is unpinned. So we capture the queen, and surely black is going to capture back. Otherwise, let's say black has no hope to winning this game, even it will be losing. So here, what should we play? We should, of course, take the opposition. By taking the opposition, again, we're trying not to allow the black king to reach one of the key squares. And that's what we can do by keep on taking the opposition. Here, for example, if the black king moves to d4, on the next move, they do want to move to one of the key squares. But if we take the opposition, we're not allowing that. The king moves to c4, keep on taking the opposition. And we already saw that in several pawn endgame videos that this is definitely going to be a draw, and we keep on taking the opposition. And if the pawn pushes, we know that it's not going to be good for black because the key squares are being pushed further away, and white will definitely be able to stop this. All that white needs to remember is that we have to make sure that when the king and the pawn are on the 6th rank, we need to be taking the opposition with our king. Just keep the opposition always. Here, for example, I must play with my king to b1, so that when the black king moves to a3, we move to a1, take the opposition, and that's definitely going to be a draw, because here black is either going to keep the pawn, which is going to be a stalemate, or is going to leave the pawn, which is going to be a draw again. So going back, here, just make sure that you don't give black the opposition, because if we move to the wrong square here, we go to a1 with the king, black takes the opposition, reaching the 6th rank with the pawn and the king. Then this is one of the most basic pawn end games where black can just push the pawn and promote safely with the help of the king. And of course, a queen and a king are very easy win for black in this position.